Morning. There are two ways to issue a plaintiff's claim. The first is online. The second is by way of personal attendance at the appropriate court office. Let's begin by taking a look at issuing a claim online. So the first thing that we need to do is simply type one key into whatever search engine you like to use. Access one key, and there you have the provincial one key site. And all you need to do is you need to sign in with a one key ID, which is simple and easy to set up, and also include your password. So once you've accessed one key, you need to get into your account. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to start a new claim. Now, it gives you two options to start a new claim. What I'm going to suggest is that you use the quick file option. And you can see that it's going to bring us through a number of steps. Step number one, just simple file a plaintiff's claim. What you first need to do is agree with all of their conditions. And then it starts by putting in the amount of the claim. Now you might remember that in our example with Superior Paper Products, the claim was for $12,000. We also need to select a court, and you might remember that the court that we had selected was Toronto. We're just going to tell them to use whatever email address we want them to use. Now, step number two is identify the claim type. Now, the claim can either be for liquidated damages or non-liquidated damages. In this particular case, because we're claiming on a written contract as well as unpaid invoices, it would be a liquidated amount. And then we just press the next button. Step 3, representative and plaintiff information. Okay, do the plaintiffs have a representative? Yes, they do. So what we do at this point is we type in our information. Alright, once we have our information in, it asks us, is the plaintiff a business or an individual? In this case, it is a business. So what we need to do is type in the name of our client. And do we want to add another plaintiff? In this case, no, we don't. Now step 4 is the defendant information, and again, is the defendant an individual or a business? Well, the first defendant is going to be a business. And you might remember that it was a numbered company, 1817035, Ontario Inc. Now, this is important. Is this party known by another name? Well, in fact, in our case it is. And you can see it already says carrying on business as, and we're going to type in Jolly Good Restaurant. Now we need to put in the address, and you may recall, oops, it was 222 Great Eats Avenue in Toronto. Now, wherever you see the slightly peach-colored these are mandatory fields, whereas other fields are optional. So in this case, we don't have to type in telephone number or extension number. But add another defendant, yes, please. We are going to do that in this case. You might remember that we're also suing the individual on a personal guarantee. And we start with the last name, which is Jolly. First name, Joseph. Now, is this party known by another name? Again, we want to choose yes. And last name, same as previous, Jolly. But first name, he also goes by Joe. Now, we also have his home address, so we're going to type that in. Now, that's it for defendants, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next step. Now, this is where we need to upload the plaintiff's claim and attachments. So for step 5, this is where we upload our plaintiff's claim and attachments. Now, what I like to do in advance is I like to print out the standard form portion of the plaintiff's claim along with the additional parties page. And I also like to print out the pleadings portion, and I like to scan them and have them ready on my desktop. And what that allows me to do then, when I reach step 5, is where it says upload file. I can click on that. I can then browse my desktop, and I know where I have the scanned document saved. So I can select that scanned document, and you can see it loads it up very quickly. I press add, and there it is, already uploaded. Now the thing to remember is that you are limited with regards to the size of the document that you can upload, and what they ask you to do here is they also ask you to first load your plaintiff's claim and then separately load any supporting documents. Now I have to warn you about this. Many of the courts don't seem to print out the supporting documents. So if you're relying on the court to print out your claim and your supporting documents, attach them, and then put them into the court file so that they can be relied upon by a judge, let's say perhaps at a motion, a settlement conference, or a trial, well, then you're going to be in for a bit of a surprise. Because what I find is usually the court does not print out the supporting documents. They will only print out the plaintiff's claim and place that in the file. So here's a little trick that I use. If I don't have too many supporting documents, what I do is I just scan them together with the plaintiff's claim and load them all up where it says plaintiff's claim. That way I know the supporting documents are going to be printed and they will be with the file. But remember, if you're going to issue your claim online, then what you need to do is you need to forward a complete hard copy of your claim. That means plaintiff's claim and all supporting documents. You need to forward it to the courthouse at which you're filing, or you need to, at some point in time, drop a hard copy off at that courthouse. Now, once you've loaded up your plaintiff's claim and any supporting documents, then you get into payment. And basically just ask you whether or not your client has, if it's the plaintiff, has filed more than 10 claims. If it's filed more than 10 claims, it will be a frequent user and therefore it will pay a higher rate. In this case, we're going to assume that Superior Court is not a frequent, we're going to assume it's not a frequent user, but you can see the difference in cost there, $95 versus $200. And then all you need to do is, it says authorization and signature, so just type in your name. Already has the date submitted. Check off the box, and then you want to review the information before submitting. Oops, what's it telling me here? It's telling me that I did not check off a box. Oh, look at that. You see, now I did check that off. I thought for sure I did, but anyway, we'll check it off again. And there, what it does is it brings us through all of our information that we put in. The claim amount is $12,000, Toronto Small Claims Court, a liquidated damage claim, all of your information, name of your client, the plaintiff, name of the defendants and their addresses and the cost, and then basically you can just click pay and submit and you're done. It is literally that fast. Wonderful little tool to be able to use. So how do you decide? Do you issue your claim online or do you make a personal attendance at the appropriate court office? Well, you may want to remember that if you're going to issue your claim online, there is a limitation to the number of supporting documents that you can attach. So if you plan on attaching a rather large number of supporting documents to your claim, you may want to make a personal attendance.